I'm Splashes, and welcome to a new series that I've been wanting to do, uh, that I'm going to be calling Fixture Build. So this idea was sort of inspired by Biffa's Fixture City, and I tried doing that, and immediately ran into a city that I just couldn't fix, uh, and remembered how frustrating City Skylines is. But I thought I could do this, and I think it will be a lot of fun. So basically what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to start off with a build from some user. This is an approximation of the first build I ever made on Minecraft about 6.5 years, 7 years ago? Something like that? It was a long time ago. I don't have that world file anymore. Obviously, you can tell that there's a lot of things have changed in the past 7 years, like flowers and the terrain generation and Uh, flowers, lots of flowers. There are so many flowers now that weren't there before. It's just red and yellow. Uh, but this was an approximation of the first build that I built. And so what we're going to do is go through some steps and improve the build. And at the end, I will tell you where you can go if you want me to take a look at one of your builds and try and improve it too. I think it'll be lots of fun, and I think this should really help me get to work with a bunch of different styles and improve as a builder. So I suppose first let's start off with, what do I like about this build? Because it's a very simple build and there's not much to it. I like this roof line. It's sort of a salt box style house, and I think it gives that house a little bit of character and a little bit of shape, even though it's just a rectangular box. But there's a lot of stuff that isn't really there to like about this build. It's incredibly flat. There's no detail. And the blocks are all the same, so from certain angles, uh, oops, too far, but like here, you can't actually, even see the boundary there. So I think the first thing we should do is go ahead and replace all this walls with, let's use some oak wood. Just a nice simple wood to start things out with. So we've gone ahead and covered the entire thing in wood now instead of the stone to give it some slightly different colors. And whoopsie, I missed the side over here. Uh, but I already think this looks quite a bit better than it did before, because before it was just so all one block. Just couldn't see anything. There we go. So that's already a little bit better. Also, this glass post is just so I can stand on it, so I know where to get the screenshot for the end post, because I'm not using anything fancy right now like the replay mod. Which would probably be a good idea, but I need to figure out how to install that and all that. So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and add some depth into here. And probably the easiest way to do that is out on these corners to go ahead and put some like wooden corners here, or like poles. So let me go ahead and grab myself, just grab some oak logs, and just along these corners, just go straight up like that. Probably stop there so we run into the thing here. Just like that. And then we can go ahead and do that again in the back corner. And then again over here. So now things are still a little bit off, but now we actually have some depth in the build. But this is still a really big flat face. So I think what we're going to try and do here is, well, first off, we can go ahead and pop this out here to make this a little bit taller. And I think that should make it look a little bit nicer. Just give it a little bit more, not really. But we can go ahead and pop these guys out and put the windows in there. And now this area has a little bit more coverage. But I think what'll look nice if we go ahead and do, oopsie, just something like this straight across the front. And that gives it a little bit more stuff to look at. Next we need to go ahead and add some depth to the roof over here, as well as make sure that it actually comes over here. And I think we're going to add like a big wraparound porch. I think that'll make this whole thing look a lot deeper, a lot more detailed, and a lot nicer. So let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so we've gone ahead and we've stuck a porch on the front. We've extended out these eaves for the roof, so that way it covers the porch over a little bit, and extends out to the side a little bit. So this gives us a little bit more depth to work with, and it already looks quite a bit better. Next thing I would suggest doing is just taking these windows, knocking them out, and pasting a pane behind them. And rather than doing just a normal glass pane, for this color you'd probably want like a light gray glass pane. For more futuristic builds, probably a bluer glass. But the light glass pane is just not that intrusive, but still visible. Of course, depending on the build, you can switch out for different colors. But this just gives you a little bit more depth in your windows, and I think it looks nice. Oops. Of course, with how difficult it is to see that the windows are actually in there, you might want to use like a white instead, since the white will make it harder to see through. Okay. And next let's go ahead and stick a trim on this roof. So we can have it come out just a little bit further, just one more line around, except we'll take this front line off here, and we'll just use a stone brick trim. So we've gone ahead and stuck all of the trim around the outside, and I think it looks nice and it gives a little bit of variety. But one of the big things this house is missing is just really sort of shape. Because at this point, if we look directly overhead, it's basically just a giant square. And I tried several times to go ahead and add a little extension somewhere to see if that would make it look nice. But one of the big things that you have to think about is that you have to do shape first. You can't get things done and then do the shape last. So we'll just have to do a little bit more on the detail to try and make this look nice. And so far we've added more color to the palette. Oh, let's go ahead and plop you out and switch you out for a spruce door. And we can go ahead and do similar, get a bunch of spruce trapdoors, and we can make ourselves some shutters for all these doors. So, just a quick thing. Oh, here's the interior, by the way. It looks pretty terrible. It's just furnaces and chests everywhere. We'll clean that up too when we're done. And that just gives you a little bit more depth there. And then this is where we can start adding some detail. Add some spruce trapdoors to here. Oopsie. And so these look like shutters. But you have to make sure that your shutters are a realistic size for how big your windows are. So, like these windows are 1 block wide, so you need 1 block wide shutters. Now, if you have different size shutters or different size windows, that's going to vary. Like for this one here, we have two shutters that both fold in. Plop shutters down here, and just like that. And I think the spruce shutters make really nice doors, and that's part of why we use the oak. So we can use these spruce trap doors, and there's some difference here. And we can go ahead and we probably don't want to add any flower boxes here, but we should add a door. So let's go ahead and we'll add a door to here, as well as some fencing, and maybe even some little flower boxes here and there, just to add a little bit more detail to this place. And then eventually what we're going to go ahead and do is, a lot of these houses, these salt box type houses, have very large chimneys. So we're going to go ahead and stick a nice chimney on here, and I think that'll really help bring the build to life. So we've gone ahead and added a little bit of detail to this build. We've added the railing to the, whoopsie, that's not supposed to be there. We've added a railing to the porch here, and we've used trapdoors, just because it gives things a nice smooth appearance, and it lets us have these, gives us a little bit more room on top of the porch, which is good when you have relatively small spaces you're working with, and it lets us put these nice flower boxes here, which you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. And down here we have some more flower boxes and a little garden and a little pond with some leaves. I had grown a couple of trees here, but they were too big and too much. We've also gone ahead and continued this all the way around a little bit, and I think it just adds a nice bit of detail and a bit more depth and shape to the build. So the next big thing that we want to do to this build, this will probably actually be the last thing, and it'll probably take out these windows here, is to go ahead and make a nice big chimney going up the side. And I think that'll look really nice. So let's jump on into that then. And with that, we have ourselves a nice little chimney here. So we've gone ahead and made it out of andesite, just so it's not quite the same as this cobblestone here, because otherwise it'll look too similar, and this gives it a little bit of variation in the texture. I tried bricks and I tried cobblestone. I think this andesite looks the best here. And then we have this nice little campfire up here, which makes some smoke for us. And just surrounded with trapdoors, and you can actually hide the campfire really nicely, and it looks really pretty. We've also gone ahead and added in some other things here, like we switched out the glass panes for these trapdoors. And this style of window is probably more like you would find on a house of this style, rather than the solid glass panes. And then we've also gone ahead and added in some lanterns and a couple other little bits here and there, like all these vines, as well as some mossy cobblestone and mossy stone brick. And from there, the only thing that's really left to do is to go ahead and sort of frame the building, because right now it's just sort of sitting here out in the open. And it actually looks pretty nice on its own, but just like adding some nice big trees around it, I'm just going to use the 4-wide pine trees, even though big oak trees would fit this place more. Please grow. Okay, never mind. I guess we're not going to frame the building, because why won't that pine tree grow? I don't... Come on, grow. There we go. Okay, so we've gone ahead and sort of framed this in with some trees here, and it really takes this from being a large thing that sort of sticks out in the middle of nowhere to now feeling like a small cozy cottage, because it's surrounded by these nice big trees here. And you can make your own trees, but using the Minecraft oak trees and the 4x4 or the 2x2 spruce trees makes really nice big trees, and it makes for a dense underbrush area, and it makes the area feel really nice and closed in, and is a great way to sort of frame your builds. And with that, I've been Splashes. Thank you for watching. And if you want me to go ahead and fix one of your builds, send me a message on Twitter with the build uploaded to CurseForge, and make sure that creative is enabled so I can go into creative mode and do things easier, rather than having to do everything in survival. And tell me a little bit about your build, like what you had in mind for it, or what the idea was, and maybe I'll go ahead and do it myself. Thank you for watching. Bye bye!